or that fourth, fifth segment, you're going to be
Is it too long?
Quick. Nah.
Okay.
No, it just means that that final little bit, it's going to be
fast
for you.
Okay.
Hi, then you can be gone. Okay.
You literally have like a minute and a half, but
okay.
And you want to do that in the first hour?
Yeah, I was thinking just because it's kind of the bigger story.
Those are
of the
headphones. Yes,
NFL.
you do. So yeah, that's my life now.
Is it a really idiotic, dumb story that's to take away from all the arrests happening by the NFL players during quarantine? It's my conspiracy theory.
What do you mean?
Afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB
this
Nation
is
Radio.
planted to detract from.
Because it's the dumbest idea I've ever heard the NFL come out with.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's borderline racist.
And Trotter
up on you
talked about
and
that
run him. Should I
specifically,
run him out?
for
Rack
people
him?
who
No, I'm not racking him. They're not racking
don't
him. Jim
want
Rome
jobs
only
this
racks
way.
great calls. He has a take, but he sort of
because they
sucks
know
at the
they'll
same
never
time.
be able to outwork the label,
course
which is
not.
you got it because
Not only that, but it almost reminds me of rich white ass owners selling slaves.
yeah,
In a way, almost saying like, "Hey, if you buy him today, I'll throw in these two for you."
right.
Opening up the
Yeah,
brand
like
new stadium.
commodity.
But you know what's going to be missing? There's going to be like 15 people in the shot. The black hole is going to have like 4 participants.
Do you think only AI and D show up?
That's right. Yeah. AI and D. Right. That's the only ones they got. Like, it's all we can fit in.
Yeah.
Social distancing.
Both R's.
S is out. Both R's are gone. They wouldn't let them in the stadium.
Which quarterback is going to shush the crowd?
That's what I was wondering. Which quarterback is going to have the guts to go up to a crowd and go, quiet? I would do it every time I was in the red zone this season. That would be my thing. You're going to be able to hear, beer! Which one of you 5 want beer?
Yeah, I'm over here.
Yeah, all right, it's going to be a walk, but it'll be fine. I'll get there.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. Pharrell,
Coast to coast.
People used to say, oh, that Pharrell guy, he's on late at night. He doesn't matter. Well, how do you like them apples? Now I'm on 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on SB Nation, and we're going to cut everybody down like trees everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's afternoons, nights, mornings, weekends. Pharrell Coast to Coast rules.
Pharrell Coast to Coast with Scott Pharrell. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern.
This moment of gratitude is brought to you by Rocket Mortgage and the Rock family of companies.
We really want to thank my wife's cousin Marie, who works so hard as a nurse saving others.
To those who leave their homes to keep us safe in ours, thank you.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. We're sending all our love, gratitude, and hope your way.
Thank you. If you'd like to thank America's frontline and essential workers, visit everyoneknowsahero.com. Quicken Loans, LLC, and MLS number 3030. Licensed in 50 states. Each legal entity that identifies themselves as part of the Rock family of companies are separate legal entities with their own governance and management structures.
Set your system's volume control for slightly above the normal listening level.
Let's go. Second level thinking is defined as looking beyond the easy, obvious conclusions.
You got to do some smart thinking.
Welcome to the second level. On SB Nation Radio,
And on SBNationRadio.com.
where we go beyond the box score. Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage is with you every step of the way. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's your host, Eitan Shander.
A lot happened this weekend. You may not have noticed. Maybe you're still looking at it. Days fly by, and the only reason why you know it's time to go to bed is because it's dark out. But a lot in sports happened over the weekend, including the closure. Final 2 parts of The Last Dance. So the 10-episode documentary in the books. But more impressively, yesterday, you got a pair of sneakers that MJ wore during his rookie season, the MJ ones, those uncomfortable kicks that he wore his rookie year, went for $560,000 at a Sotheby's auction, which is insane because it was expected to go for about $150, $160 max. And here you have $560,000 from interest, money, and all of the nostalgia that's back currently thanks to The Last Dance. But that's not it. Look, we had other sports. The UFC continues to show, or at least pave a road for individual sports that it can be done, that you can return, you can have exciting cards, you can have events that people don't need to be at from a fan perspective, but can still be entertaining on TV. And you can bet, we know German soccer right now is through the roof. It's like what everybody is watching in Europe across the board. Forget just Germany, it's across the board. NASCAR had its first race since the pandemic began, and we get these back and forths over the weekend that just bled in from the Blake Snell conversation with MLB about when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? People want this thing to happen so fast, but there still is no vote and no return from the baseball player side. We already heard from the owner side. They put that out there. But one thing that came out was this proposition that basically has all of the rules for contact and beyond once the sport actually does come back, right down to showing up on game day in your uniform, like your mom used to do at Babe Ruth baseball on your way into whatever game you had that Saturday afternoon.
Dell Technology.
Sorry about blasting your ears.
No, that's all right, man.
It's everywhere and stay
You know what's
productive.
funny
Save
is
up to 45% on desktops,
for some reason,
laptops, and do-it-all
it's been-
servers with Intel Core processors.
Like,
Upgrade
that's
to
been
new modern
lower
devices with Windows 10
recently
and save on essential
on the
electronics,
weekends
all with
even.
free shipping on everything and special
And-
financing.
They may just not be potting it up.
Well, no,
high enough.
yeah, I
Dell for a Dell
thought that
Technologies
too,
advisor
but
who can
the
help
guys I
you
work
find
with
the
are
right
pretty
tech.
good in
That's
that.
877 Ask
And
Dell or visit Dell.com
I think,
/small
I don't know, maybe the
business
bed, it sounded like the bed might have just been lowered,
Did
like
you know
not from a
online
pot
alcohol sales
standpoint,
have
but
more than
maybe from
tripled
like
since March?
a sound
Drinking from home
standpoint.
is
But
up-
I don't know if those guys were just jacking it up
Cheers is here
normally
to
and I
help
was
fight
used to
those
that.
pesky-
Maybe.
You drink
Maybe
a
they just
little
started
or a
lowering
lot. Cheers is designed to reduce alcohol's negative.
You see, I always go about midway because it should be loud enough for you to hear, but I don't want to. I'm trying not to take away from anything you're saying
No more waking up with headaches or nausea after.
because a lot of times it's during those moments where we get some of the best promo material.
What do you mean?
Take 2 to
Well, for whatever reason, and it's just, what I've noticed as a trend my many years being here is that when that outro bed hits, there's a lot of times is where you get the funny little quips, the, meaningful impact, like stick it to you quote, always seems to happen when the outro bed is playing.
Really?
So there is a
Yes,
lot of times.
I heard that.
There's a lot of times if you listen to our promos, you can hear the outro bed playing, and we can't get rid of it. Like we can't delete the outro bed once it's been recorded. There's nothing we can do about it.
Right. So those are always in the promos.
They're always in the
Yep.
promos.
I hear them a lot, but
but
they're
what I-
hilarious stuff in there too.
Yeah, but what I try to do is once I hear something that I think is going to be promo worthy, and I'll do it with you as well, is that if I hear something that's promo worthy, don't be shocked if all of a sudden I drop the outro bed down.
No problem at all.
I'm going to make sure you can still hear it. It's
Yep.
going to be really faint.
Yep.
So that way you can keep the cadence going.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
But that way, I can overpower it with the music bed that's in the promo.
Got
Let
it.
me remind you that
I think that's a
mortgage
great
rates
idea.
are near historic lows. If you think right now is the right time to
I know the first time I did that to Tony, it kind of freaked him out. He stopped what he was saying. I'm like, no, keep going.
Like, no, keep it.
week at
This shit's gold, and this is what I'm grabbing for a promo later.
Right.
Just.org, number 3030.
My name is Megan Eddings.
Have you ever
founder
heard
and
of this
CEO
game called
of Excel
Chronology?
Lifestyle. Research
I don't know why it does sound familiar.
So it's
coronavirus.
basically
Excel
like
Lifestyle's Prima antibacterial face masks are soft, washable, and double layer for added protection. To purchase you and your loved one's face mask, please go to
can explain it on the air,
excellifestyle.com. That's ACCEL
kinda like,
lifestyle.com. Once you
I have
receive your
3
order, we'll
events
ship your masks out immediately.
that are
Thank you and
associated
stay
with
safe.
3 different years, and then I give you an event, and you tell me which one it's in between. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Scratching beneath the surface. It's the second level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
Big story in the NFL that may not even be voted on. We don't even know it for sure. And I got that from the man who broke the story on Friday, who you're going to hear 11:40 Eastern time this morning. That's Jim Trotter, NFL.com. The piece is up at Jim Trotter _NFL. He joined me last night, but I want you to hear the interview because nothing has changed from last night to today. And he explains a lot, including the origins of this and right down to people that he's spoken to who would technically even benefit directly from this change and have come out and told him, Jim Trotter, no, we don't like this. I don't like the idea of me getting work this way. And it swings a bunch of different ways when you try to come out with an idea as radical and extreme as incentivizing, and it's some pretty good incentives. That's another thing. It's not like this is just you'll get an extra 6th round pick. If you hire a person of color as your head coach, you'll get an extra 5th round pick if you hire him as your general manager. This is pretty heavy, and it's a pretty thick way where you can maneuver the draft board up and down rather easily with some extra ammo. And that takes away from those thin chances you have at maybe 3 or 4 picks because you've traded them away in the offseason or regular season. Now you can be more aggressive and maybe trade a couple of picks away. There are different ways you can utilize the incentives for a team. So let's at least look at that. It's not the NFL coming out with a throwaway. Now, again, you'll hear from Jim Trotter himself at 11:40 Eastern, but my understanding of the conversation is that with Jim is that it's not even a definite that it will be. It's expected to, but you had some anonymous people speaking on it. Some in the league just refused to acknowledge it because Jim's belief, and you'll hear in the interview, is that it's not quite definite. It's not solid yet that it would even be voted on. The fact that it's out now is maybe even just testing the waters from a PR standpoint. We know the NFL is good like that and has done that before if something leaks. Now, I don't think the NFL front office necessarily leaked this, but whoever it came from trying to test waters and trying to get a feel of how it would be received. And maybe most importantly, from the people, the silent people, if you will, who can't speak out, like Eric Bieniemy can't speak out and trash a team that overlooked him if he wants to continue to get job offers and wants to continue to get in a position where he can get a head coaching spot. So there are people who are in the front office. There are people who are dealing with rule changes. There are people who can propose something like this, who have been looking at the problem that clearly exists and has gotten worse over the last couple of years of no really at all basis of strength that you can work on with minority candidates. And it seems as if people who have been hired are out rather fast. Now, you do have to balance this. You can't just hire and keep somebody around for 3 years because you're hoping for that incentive to kick in when 2 years in, it's pretty clear this guy doesn't know what he's doing. So that's where things start to arise outside of just point blank rewarding a team for hiring somebody on the merit of how they look, but not on what they've done. Now, the problem is this ball of knots is way too intricate to untie right now, string by string. This is a problem that has compounded itself year in and year out. And while there have been people like right up to the Rooney Rule, where that's been established to try and help this as a deep-rooted issue, try and help fix it, that deep-rooted issue in the NFL, we still see a lot of surface solutions. And we still see things that come out that don't really get at the root. Now, you can believe Emmanuel Acho, who came out and said that it's the depths of it in cronyism, which makes sense. Because if you look at rules and regulations that have been put in place, they haven't worked to the point in which they've, at the very least, leveled the amount of players in the playing field. Like that hasn't happened yet to where you can make the argument, well, candidate X, candidate Y, candidate Z, all three of them should be interviewed and one should be hired based on their resume. Ideally, all three come in equally and the best resume and the best application of the job, that's the person who should be hired. But we're not there and we haven't been there. So doesn't mean that you need to do something rational. It doesn't mean that you need to do something extreme, which is force teams by rewarding them. I mean, this is like you're training your dog, right? And you understand that traits, rewards, and that incentivizes your dog, right, to listen to you. But every now and again, it's like, you get lazy, right? And the dog's just not coming in, and it's not a treat-worthy reward for the dog to come in the back door. It's just, come on, come in the back. Come on, let's go. Like, listen to the command. And then, all right, well, he's not listening. Just here, give him a treat. Give him a treat. All right, here we go. And it's a lazy reward, but it's also in the sense of forcing, right? It's just a different interpretation of that word, the dog inside, and you're forcing teams to fix this problem, but there's nothing to say that it would be fixed long-term, and there's nothing to say that it would even work short-term. In fact, if a team is stacked right now, and you saw this most recent draft, granted impacted by the pandemic, but still, there wasn't much movement, right, in the first round or two. If, in fact, the team is stacked, they have their candidate, and they have Judge in line for the New York Giants, it doesn't matter if they can move up in the second round. It doesn't matter. To them, it may not matter enough. So all of a sudden, you've put in this ridiculous rule, and maybe one team, maybe one or two teams takes advantage of it. I heard Jake Asman, great to hear Jake on the radio, on the network back again, mention how his team in Todd Bowles and the New York Jets had a situation where he was the head coach for 4 years. And it just, I'm not ripping Jake by any means. I love him. But it reminds me of, and it's, I think, wrong to do it in the student loan application of this, but right to do it in the NFL head coach application of this. But, it reminds it of people in more probably my generation, right? I don't know, Z or Y, whatever, saying, they're going to forgive all these student loans of kids right now just got out of school. We have to pay back every single cent, which is the equivalent of our parents saying, oh, you have a school bus? I had to walk 5 miles to school one way, uphill, both ways. But now in this case, you do look back and think, well, teams were doing the right thing. And now you're not doing anything to reward teams who have done the right thing in this crazy world of rewarding teams for hiring a minority candidate, which sounds ridiculous because even as you'll hear in 20 minutes, there are prospective candidates who think, no, I don't want a job that way. I don't want to get a head coaching job or a general manager job that way. There will always be scrutiny surrounding it. There will always be people talking in the building. There will always be people in the media just ready to bring it up, associating it with a player or two that was brought in because of the result of the incentives. It cheapens by a mile. And this is from the point of view of the people who are or would be getting these jobs, not from those who ratified. This is a great discussion in the sense that it's something ridiculous and we can point at it and react to it. But based on what Jim said and based on the overall reaction that you're going to get Monday, and think about it, Tuesday, you'll already have a day of Monday, and we're all pent up in the house. That Jordan documentary didn't do anything to calm our frustrations with what's going on around the world, right even down to what's going on in your county. So we're all pent up. Let's get out of here, man. We get out. Monday, we get out, and we see this, and people are enraged. I saw people upset and through the roof mad on Twitter over the weekend. My prediction is that come Wednesday or maybe Tuesday afternoon, but for us, it'll be Wednesday morning. We'll talk about this like it's come and gone. I don't even think it will be voted on. It might even be presented and tabled, but that's, I think, the depths that something like this will go. It will be brought up, and this is the biggest lengths that they'll go here to make this a reality. It will be brought up and tabled. I don't even think personally it will be tabled, but I'm willing to leave a little leeway. Just leave a little ground right there to cover on the back end and say, all right, at the very least, it will be tabled. It's not going to be voted on. It's not going to be brought up to be voted on. It will be tabled immediately if it even gets to that point. So think about that. And I'm not saying wait and see. I'm saying this is so ridiculous that the NFL won't pass it. But the one thing that can come from this, there is one positive thing that truly can come from this. At Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Show. You can follow along all platforms on SBNationRadio.com as well. Coming up, I'll tell you the one big positive that's going to come from this. And look, it's not going to be as a result of this getting passed. I don't want you to now think the two are related. They're not. One thing is separate, meaning this conversation that's happening, right down to this issue being tabled on Tuesday and not being voted on. There is a big positive that comes from this. Also, I got this game. I'll tell you, I'm on this list from this old radio show I did a couple of years back. So I get these demo games sent to me, and they're all card games, right? And some of them we can't play on the air because they're either not safe for the audience or others where you kind of need visuals. But this one I thought was kind of interesting, and I want to play it with Ron when we get up, at Ron Culver, of course, at Ron 2Ns Culver on Twitter. We'll do that. The game is called Chronology, and it's pretty simple. It's based all on history and things that happened throughout the course of humanity. And it's not even to test so much as some of the things in here are pretty cool, and they spark some conversation. Don't worry, we'll still do fake news. You'll hear Jim Trotter coming up in 17 minutes, all here on the Second Level.
Into the night.
Hey, I'll be right back.
Okay.
The host of the NBA on TNT joins us right now, Ernie. So it seems to be a lot of pushing and pulling from different sides around the NBA on whether or not to get this thing going again. Do you feel that that's going to happen?
Well, I mean, if there's pushing and pulling in the NBA, it's just a reflection of the society that we're living in now, too, because you see states, some are opening things back up quicker than others are, and others are exercising more caution. And so I think it's the same way with the NBA. I mean, you're dealing with 30 NBA cities, and the rules aren't the same for everybody. So it makes it impossible, Tony, to say, oh, yeah, well, it looks like things are right on track to start playing again on this date. And I've said it since day one. If you're going to go back to work on this, if the season is going to resume, man, you better be pretty darn sure that this is safe and you won't have to worry. And to me, you can't do that yet, certainly. And I don't know if we will see a resumption of the season.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern.
Wake up call. The NFL power couple, Jay Cutler and Kristen Cavallari, are getting a divorce.
I know.
Cavallari's
What's up,
reasoning
Twitch?
to divorce Jay
The
Cutler,
Twitch world. Which is
that he is lazy.
Oh, that's
We're
funny
live
because
on
Josh
Twitch,
McDaniels
we're
thought
live
the
on
same thing. When he got to
Ah, there it is.
You got everything.
Is that a real reason? Because there's going to be a lot
Twitch
of single
the big
men
one,
out
though.
there.
That's right.
Although I see a lot of you on Facebook.
We can't allow this to set a precedent.
Wake Up Call with Tony
Do
D
this.
and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. Pushing the Odds with Matt Peralt.
Tim Brando on Twitter to follow him, joining us on the Progressive guest line. People are saying without students on campus, you can't play college football.
We can thank Mark Emmert for opening his mouth and inserting foot. Mark Emmert has no jurisdiction really over college football, but there's a little thing called the 1984 Supreme Court lawsuit won by the Universities of Georgia and Oklahoma that forced the NCAA out of the financial realm of college football. It's like the guy in the California system making this sweeping statement about nothing but online classes later in the year, and he's making the decision with data in May. These guys that just want to see their names in print making bold decisions that they don't have to make, they illustrate what happens with misuse of power. And the real leaders are doing the right things behind the scenes, and they'll make their splash when the time comes. And I'm telling you, I think that time will be sometime next month.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Peralt. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. Game Time Decisions.
What's up, everybody? I am Gabriel
All right,
Renzi,
so
inviting
I
you to
have
join me and
Ed
the Raging
Oliver.
Redhead, Cam Stewart, weekdays at 6 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. No games, no problem. The countdown is on. Sports will be back. There are games being played right now in China. We've got German soccer. If there's a line for it, we're going to break it down right here. Weekdays, 6 o'clock, SB Nation Radio. Be here.
Game Time Decisions with Gabe Morency and Cam Stewart. Weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. You're listening to The Second Level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, with way more than the scores. Here's Eitan Shander.
Something else brewing in the NFL we'll get to in the second hour regarding the 49ers and the training facility. Again, MJ's first Jordans, the Jordan 1s, sold for $560,000. And there was a question that I had on the weekend on Twitter at Shander Show regarding the Jordans. And we even expanded it beyond sports into both music and film, TV, entertainment. But here's the best thing that's going to come out of all of this discussion, from the ridiculous, absurd, the incentives, if you will, for teams to now hire a minority coach, to any reasonable back and forth about how serious of a problem this has been and has gotten worse over the last 2-3 years. There will be another resolution. Yes, this isn't even going to be voted on Tuesday. And Jim Trotter is going to join us in 12 minutes. This won't be voted on tomorrow. It will be tabled at best. And even when it's tabled and then brought back up, it won't be voted on because a new resolution will come up. A new proposition will come up in that time. And that will look much more grounded and reasonable than this one. And to be fair, it probably won't be the right one. It'll probably be tabled or maybe voted on. That's progress, right? It gets voted on and shot down. And then the next conversation comes up, and all of a sudden you start to see something actually tangible, something that can be applied to where you get at the root of the problem. And I don't know how you shrug off cronyism as something that you can legislate out of. I don't think you can personally. So you look at maybe creating a divide between current NFL ownership, knowing, of course, that there are people, smaller groups inside the big group of NFL owners that don't get along and would be willing to drive that wedge further, even if it's to take over more power, if you will, inside of these groups, these smaller groups to the large group, and everybody sits down in that big room and you have these owners meetings. Clearly, there is divide as is, and it's not just this happy family led by Kraft and Jones. You've got people, younger money and younger owners that have come in and definitely spoke out against the older money and the older owners that have been around for a while on NFL issues. Sometimes economically, they usually come together, but in this case, that might be your best bet, is to drive that wedge further between the owners. And now you actually have something with legs. This has no legs. This is dying on the table if it even gets that far. That's Shander Show at Ron's 2N Culver, twitch.tv/Shander Show. MLB could lose $640,000 per game with no fans. All right, Ron, let me ask you this question.
Fire away.
$560,000. So think about this. MLB could lose $640,000 per game with no fans. That's $80,000 less than what Michael Jordan's first pair of shoes in a game worn his rookie year. They didn't even make the playoffs his rookie year. That, I don't think they did at least. That would be $560,000, right? So what game worn, not equipment, but what game worn memorabilia do you think from any athlete? Let's just start in sports. In any athlete, do you think could match $560,000 in an auction?
Tom Brady's cup.
Well, no, I don't think anybody's going to buy a cup. Think about it. The all-in challenge that Brady had didn't even go for $300,000. You think a cup is going to go for
Tom
more?
Brady's challenge went for nearly $800.
What, the
have dinner with Brady and go to a
oh,
game
that's right.
Brady?
Well, that's the I forgot the game part of it too.
Yeah.
Like you're going to a game and all.
Nearly $800,000. I would be surprised if there was a super fan out there who spent $500,000 on a thing like that. But no,
no way.
More, but to be
you
more
have
serious,
to you have to be super rich.
Yes, you're talking super rich.
Yeah, but here's the
You
thing.
have to be super rich to buy $500,000 on anything of
But
that
that's
nature.
not weird to buy sneakers. It's weird to buy somebody's cup.
I would say game worn.
Yes.
Maybe
yes.
No, I'm thinking
Game worn.
maybe- I would say there would probably be a super fan out there who would want like Messi's complete kit, World Cup kit.
Well, it doesn't even need to be like it could just be his top jersey, right? Doesn't need to be
Well,
shorts.
I would say the kit.
All right, cleats too?
No. Kit. The kit is usually the shirt, the shorts, and the socks.
Okay. I just didn't know if you want to throw the cleats in too.
No, you can throw the cleats
They
in
did
there.
make the playoffs his rookie year. They got beat by Milwaukee. I'm sorry. I thought they got I thought they cut short. All right, so that I think right now, Messi and Ronaldo, but it would have to be their biggest games. Like it would have to be a World Cup game.
That or a Champions League final. Like they won the Champions League final.
I don't know, man. $500,000.
The Champions League is a huge,
I
huge deal.
understand. I understand, but I think you have to.
I can say no. I would say it'd have to be on the. I mean, honestly, for Messi, Champions League final is way bigger than anything he's ever done in the World Cup.
Well, he hasn't.
And for
right.
Ronaldo, the same thing.
Right. Neither of them have stood out. But again, the World Cup is like, think about Pele. If you took Pele's biggest moment and you had his cleats, now you're getting into history.
Maybe Maradona's hand. Like once he's dead, you chop off the hand and say, "Here, this was the hand of God."
You think that's going to sell more than Ted Williams' head? I don't think so.
Well, no one knows really where Ted Williams' head is.
His family does.
I'm saying ahead of time, you could shake the hand and say this was the hand of God because it created the hand of God goal.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's a reach, don't you think?
But I don't think there's
No
anything. I'm trying to think. Like I don't think
I'll
there's
give you
anything
one.
equivalent of Jordan's ones.
I'll give you one.
Yeah.
The cap, jersey, or cleats from Jackie Robinson the day he breaks the color barrier.
Yeah. Isn't that a Cooperstown though? Would you have to steal it?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is all, you know.
You have to go and steal it though, right?
Well, yeah. Now you're going to go realist on me? You're talking about cutting off Maradona's hand, and now you're going to hold my feet to the fire?
You got to go hire Danny Ocean and his crew?
Yes, or the cat burglar from The Simpsons. Yes, either one.
No, I would say, yeah, definitely. I mean, if you go nostalgic, because
history, I think is like,
how many Jackie Robinson jerseys are there?
Now, okay, Tiger. Do you think the Tiger worn red? Nothing, right?
But,
like a Nike hat. Nothing in golf.
I would say these 7-iron Elin used would go for $500,000.
Can't use equipment though. We already ruled that out because I knew that would be brought up. Now, think about this. What about Michael Jackson's glove that he wore in the Billie Jean video?
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
You don't think that goes for over $500,000?
No, here's the reason why. I think there's a lot of them out there. I remember I went to a friend's house. This was way back in my college days. And actually wasn't his house. We were stopping off at his grandmother's house to pick something up. I can't remember why we were there, but it was just real quick. Grandma had a pair of ruby red slippers.
Okay.
You know, from Wizard of Oz.
I'm familiar.
And it said pair 1 of 80 or something like that. I mean, it was a small amount.
Dorothy slippers from
Dorothy slippers, but you know, there was 80 pair of them out there already.
I'm telling you, there's only one. There can be only one. But
from Billie Jean, I doubt it.
On the video, man.
Well, yeah, but that's the video. How many takes do you think were done?
No.
How many gloves do you think he went through?
So I worked. I was in.
How many gloves were on backup?
I worked with the director of that video.
So you know that it was only one take, one glove?
Not one take, but I know that he was using the same glove. Now, I was on a set in Alberta, Canada for about 5 months, courtesy of Hallmark. It was a maxi series. It aired on ABC. And the director of that directed Billie Jean and that Aha video, Take On Me.
Yep.
He did a call. I mean, he was genius director. And we talked about the Billie Jean thing. I brought up, this is years ago. This is 2002, something like that. 18 years ago for me. And I brought that up because I remember thinking, you know, somebody's going to call me out on this. I need to make sure I have it in the back pocket. All right, Billie Jean. Now, who has more gloves? Michael Jackson or Willie Mays Hayes? Jim Trotter next.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner.
All right, dude. You got about 20 minutes here at least.
Oh, shit. I forgot I was so long.
Best
you sure it's not too long, right?
Remains.
Yeah, it's not too long. I mean, when you come back, you're going to have like probably about 90 seconds worth of stuff that you can talk about.
Do we have time for me to explain this game, you think, and do it? Probably not.
No.
We'll do it the second hour?
Yeah.
12:10? Okay.
Yep.
We got the serious stuff out, right?
Did you have another interview today?
Nope, just us.
That's it, man.
The Bryce Harper thing is the only other thing.
I've always wanted to learn another
Did you
language.
guys talk about that at all?
Nah.
Did you see it?
What, him on Fortnite?
No. He has a plan
beginner
to save
lesson on
baseball.
Oh, yeah. No, we didn't talk about that. What happened, there was a lot of stuff we wanted to get into, but Tony had a punt the entire first hour.
Oh, no, what happened?
Because his internet was down.
Oh.
So we didn't get into anything. By the time we got 2 hours in today, we talked live golf, live NASCAR, how great was sports being back. And then the second hour, the last hour of the show we just talked about The Last Dance the entire time.
Oh, man.
We're offering our best unlimited.
Did you watch it?
Oh, yeah. I didn't go to bed until about midnight last night because I started it late.
$100.
So I'm working on about 3.5 hours of sleep, but that's usually par for the course.
That is,
Last
yeah.
Dance.
If that's not enough, we're throwing in 4 Samsung Galaxy phones on us. And now, Sprint customers enjoy access to expanded coverage on the T-Mobile network. Shop from the comfort of your home at Sprint.com. Call 800-SPRINT-1 or come see us in our stores. Phone after 3542 promo
All right,
credit
I'll be
for
right
18
back,
months
buddy.
credit apply
Thank
within
you.
2 bills. If canceled early,
I have my
remaining
phone
balance
on me
due.
for whatever
Limited
reason,
basic after 7:31,
but I won't be
21,
gone
pay
for more than like
$35.
10 or so minutes.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time.
Congestion, coverage, and offer not available everywhere. Excludes taxes, fees, and roaming. Speed maximums, use rules, $30 activation fee, and restrictions apply.
When you go to the mechanic in here,
Pass me the torque. Nope, let me have the flamethrower.
that sounds wrong. You know what else sounds wrong? When you hear about the interest you're earning on your savings with the largest banks. But with the Marcus by Goldman Sachs online savings account, you could earn much more interest. And hear this. Open a Marcus by Goldman Sachs online savings account in minutes at Marcus.com. You can money.
Comparison made to the 3 largest U.S. banks measured by total deposits. Rates as of February 4th, 2020 and may vary by state. Goldman Sachs Bank USA, member FDIC.
Introducing AutomotiveMap.com, a brand new website for anyone interested in what's happening in the world of automobiles. From reviews on the latest vehicles to vintage rides to tips on keeping your family safe on the road, AutomotiveMap.com has something for you. If you love cars, trucks, and SUVs, and the amazing technology hitting your favorite showroom, check out the brand new AutomotiveMap.com. This is SB Nation Radio,
And SBNationRadio.com.
presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's Eitan Shander.
Well, definitely a story that's gaining more and more traction, rightfully so, bringing up a lot of different points and forms of discussion. And it's not just because we don't have live activity. This is the NFL. This is big business. And this is an important issue at its core. And we know how we treat NFL things, no matter what it may be in the offseason. It's something that gets our attention and keeps our attention. It's a big story. Jim Trotter had it 2 days ago. The piece on NFL.com we mentioned, we've been discussing, is up, and we're thankful, grateful to go to the Progressive Guest Line. Bring in Jim Trotter, covers all things for the NFL. Again, piece up on NFL.com at Jim Trotter _NFL. One of the best minds in the business and beyond, Jim. It's always a pleasure to hear your voice, and first and foremost, hope all is well with you and yours.
All is well, man. Same to you and yours.
Let's look at this story that came out. How close is it right now to being a reality, or at the very least being voted on Tuesday? I know that the NFL refused to comment, and there are people coming out believing that it may not be. I trust you, what you have, though.
No, I think there's a lot of controversy behind it right now. So I think it could go one of two ways. My gut feel says that if they feel it's not going to be voted in favor of, that they'll probably table it until a later date. But it's definitely, a radical idea, and it shows just how frustrated and how flummoxed the league is right now in terms of trying to deal with this issue.
Yeah, and I wonder if when you just try to look at it in reverse and try to unpack how deep of a core issue and root issue this has become, if you're just at that point where we're getting or going to get radical and extreme type ideas of incentivizing a team simply because it's been ignored for so long, and you can't expect it to just not get worse if people ignore it year in and year out.
Yeah, the thing is, the league has done, in many ways, all it can do at this point to try and reverse the trend. I mean, when you have things like the Bill Walsh Diversity Coaching Fellowship, when you have things like the Rooney Rule, when you have things like these mentoring sessions and these networking sessions that the league has had with minority coaches in the off season, when you essentially, in some ways, incentivize or talk to teams about the importance of diversity at the lower level, at the entry level position, those sorts of things, and yet you're not getting any traction. The sense I get is just that there's sort of this frustration, like, what do we do next? How do we deal with this? And to have the commissioner at the Super Bowl acknowledge that this was an issue and it's something that needed to change, I just think that we're at this point now.
Do you think that there was something specific that maybe pushed it over the edge to where you are getting this type of reaction internally?
Yeah, I think the fact that over the last 3 hiring cycles, you've had 20 openings and only 3 have gone to a person of color. And one of those was, a minority who simply changed jobs, went to a different team. So that's an issue. The fact that you have 32 teams and only 2 African-American general managers in a league that's 70% black, that's an issue with them. And so, we keep getting all these reasons for why, that the diversity numbers are down, and people start talking about, well, it's trendy. And right now owners are looking for young, hot, offensive minds and those sorts of things. And then you have Eric Bieniemy in Kansas City, who has worked with league MVP and a Super Bowl MVP, and he gets passed over for a guy who's not even a coordinator in terms of offense. So that was an issue. And in particular, I'm referring to Joe Judge with the Giants. So that opened a lot of people's eyes, like, okay, what is it then? You told us it was about offense and young guys and that sort of thing. And now you go out and you hire a guy who doesn't work with the quarterbacks and wasn't on anybody's list as a hot candidate as far as the NFL went coming into this hiring cycle.
Yeah, and it seems as if year in and year out, the candidates that get looked over are the most impacted by all of this, who should be helped the most by anything the NFL is doing, can say the least, right? Because you can't blast a team. If you still want to continue to work and hopefully get interviews and land a job, you can't really blast. Even if you're right, you can't blast that squad.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's almost a sense at times when I talk to minority coaches who have aspirations of climbing the ladder, at times, it's almost like a sense of hopelessness that I hear in their voice. Like, what more do we have to do? And, when something like this resolution came out, they were like, look, in essence, what the league is saying is we can't even count on the owners to hire us on our merits. We got to bribe them to give minorities a chance. And so to them, what they're saying to me is that's a bad optic for the league. And then personally, they're saying it's insulting to them, because if they do get a job, then most people are going to say, oh, it's because of the color of their skin and not their qualifications. And so they feel like they're damned if they, either way.
Well, do you think that, and combined with, I'm sure there's going to be resistance internally from some teams, do you think that is enough to where you mentioned at the beginning that even if it is voted on, maybe there isn't enough confidence this thing passes as opposed to just being tabled?
I'm not sure. I think there's a discussion going on right. Matter of fact, I know there are discussions going on right now among owners, between the owners and the league, all of that to try and figure out what to do next. The thing that's disappointing here is that there are 2 resolutions as far as diversity goes that are going to be expected to be voted on Tuesday. And the other one is one that everyone that I have talked to supports, and that's eliminating the anti-tampering rule as far as it relates to assistant coaches. Whereas in the past, teams could block assistant coaches from interviewing for coordinator positions. That's no longer going to be the case. From the end of the regular season until March 1st, assistant coaches would be allowed to interview with other clubs for coordinator positions, which in turn could help get more minorities into the pipeline as coordinators. Because as we know, one of the things that owners often look for is do you have coordinators experience before hiring a head coach? So that one's important, and that one is supported by most everyone I've talked to, and yet we're not even discussing that now. We're simply discussing the other resolution.
Yeah, and I'm looking here in Philly, Jim Trotter joining us at Jim Trotter _NFL. And there's a guy who has, I think all of us here in Philadelphia are shocked at times in which Deuce Staley has been passed over,
Yes, sir.
especially for a guy who looked clueless at times the last couple of years. And that's been a source of frustration, but we also know the connection that Deuce has to the Eagles and the love the Eagles have had for Deuce. So there hasn't been a public discussion, if you will, where he's led it, but he's been a prime candidate we've seen of somebody who at the very least has been slighted once, if not more.
Yeah, no, his name has come up among people that I've talked to as someone who, if not for this anti-tampering rule that limited the mobility of assistant coaches, he would have been a coordinator someplace by now. So, this is a resolution that if it passes, you would have to believe it would help, assistant coaches like Deuce Staley have a better opportunity to become coordinators and to get in that pipeline.
Jim, I'm curious, when you look at the initial story about incentivizing teams for minority hires, GMs and head coaches, the idea, even if it does go through, but just the idea first, before it even gets voted on, if that on Tuesday, is there, or how much of a concern would there be outside of the candidate themselves feeling cheated based off this rule? How much of a concern would there be in passing this and really moving forward where it's not really fixing it so much as we've seen other passings and other rules and other resolutions passed, but not really fixing the core issue? Is this just more of a surface solution, I guess is what I was trying to get out. Sorry.
Well, I don't know that anyone really knows what the solution is. As I said earlier, the league has tried so many different things. They put together a database. They kept hearing about owners didn't know about minority coaches out there, even on the college level, who are involved with offense or who are coordinators, play callers, all those sorts of things. So they put together a database prior to this year's hiring cycle of all the minority coaches on the offensive side of the ball, for teams to have. That didn't do any good in terms of addressing this issue with owners. So, look, one of the issues here, and I've said this before, so I'm not speaking out of term, this is not a league issue. This is an owner issue because owners are the ones who hire coaches. Owners are the ones who hire general managers. And until the owners get to a point where they believe that these minority candidates are as qualified and capable of whites in terms of running their teams on the field and in the front office, this is not going to change. And the unfortunate thing here is that we tend to paint with a broad brush, and people say the owners. Well, not every owner feels this way. There have been owners and there are owners who believe in diversity and believe in equal opportunity and those things, but they get lumped in with everyone else. And that's the unfortunate part here. So it's really more than anything, more than an owner, just an owner problem. It's a systemic problem that we're talking about here. And the owners, it all falls on them to try and change this because they do the hiring.
Is there anybody who ideally, if they spoke out in the group of owners, would make at least the first step of concrete impact in changing this?
That's a great question, and I don't know because you're having sort of this transition in ownership. Dan Rooney was one of those guys when he was alive. And, to use the cliche, put his money where his mouth is. When you look at him going out and getting Mike Tomlin at a time where when Bill Cowher retired, he could have very easily turned to Ken Wisenhunt or to Russ Grimm, who were on the staff. And instead, he had a certain formula that he wanted and what he was looking for in a coach. And he hired Mike Tomlin. So, the thing that's interesting about this whole process is whenever there are openings, what do we always hear? Right off the bat, who are the hot candidates? Who are the hot candidates? And if you're an owner, the question you should be asking before you ever get to who are the hot candidates is, what am I looking for in a coach? Do I want someone with experience or do I want someone fresh? Do I want someone who delegates or do I want someone who's hands-on? Do I want someone who's a motivator or do I want someone who maybe is more behind the scenes, that sort of thing? Do I want offense, defense, special teams? Until you answer all those types of questions, you should not be asking yourself who's the hot candidate because you don't have a clear idea of what you're looking for in a coach. it's not simply enough to say, I want someone good. Well, you have to understand in your mind what constitutes good.
Jim, I can't thank you enough for the time here. I know it's a huge story, and it's going to be talked about at length over the next day, especially all day TV, radio, across the board on Monday. So thank you for the time.
Yeah. No, you're fine.
It's on something completely different. We were talking about this. I don't know if you saw the MJ1s, game-worn MJ1s, sold for $560,000 at Sotheby's in an auction. Is there a piece of game-worn right? Is there a piece of game-worn memorabilia, any athlete, any sport that comes to mind, not equipment, it would just be like a jersey, cleats, or helmet, anything game-worn that would sell, you think, for more than MJ's kicks? We were throwing some stuff around, and we thought maybe if you played off of history and you took Jackie Robinson's cleats the day in which he breaks the color barrier, I mean, you would have to go large in order to compete, I think, with $500,000.
No, I think it would have to be something historical. And what that would be, I don't know. But, yeah, I would think it definitely have to be something historical to get up in that realm. But, man, a pair of sneakers going for $500,000, that's wild, man.
Oh, that's a good one, Trevor. You upset you weren't in on that, man? You could have cleared
Kobe's
560.
81-point game jersey.
No, you know what the funny thing is? I remember interviewing Jordan. I was in college at the time, back in D.C., and they came to Washington for a game.
Not bad.
We interviewed him before the game. I was sort of interning with this one company, and we interviewed him before the game, and he had the kicks on. I remember we were all saying, man, that's fresh, because we had not seen anything like that before. And whatnot. Little did I realize what it was going to lead to. Otherwise, maybe I would have gotten me a pair back then.
Wait, those are the ones you saw. Oh, didn't they look uncomfortable?
Yeah. Didn't they? I'm sorry, say it again.
Didn't they look a little uncomfortable?
Nobody thought it. You know, I think back on it now, like all of the sneakers back then were uncomfortable. I used to wear the Converse and they were uncomfortable. They just, but they look cool. So that was the thing. You know, when you're young, that's all that matters. It's like women in high heels. I say to my wife, why do you wear high heels if they hurt and whatnot? Because it looks good, you know?
Yep. They can't say anything. Well, we can't say anything. You're right. We wore Converse, ready to break our ankles just to look good. It's amazing. Jim, thank you, man. I wish you all the best. Thanks again for the time tonight.
All right, buddy. Thank you, man.
You got it. Jim Trotter on the Progressive Guest Line at Jim Trotter _NFL. We'll wrap the hour next year on SB Nation Radio.
Wake up call.
I would say this too. If you're going to do the Peyton Manning challenge, do it after the Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, Tom Brady.
Right.
event.
Right.
That
Absolutely.
way you get the behind the scenes scoop. Like, okay, what's Tiger really like?
I'll tell you what, man. Tiger does not shut up. That whole time we were playing, Tiger could not stop talking the whole time. I think I talk a lot. Tiger talks. That would be great.
Yeah.
I would be totally into that.
Does Phil just walk around flexing all the time?
Phil thinks he's good. Nobody loves Phil than Phil. Like, if you've got that information, that'd be gold. Like, I like Phil, but I don't like Phil as much as Phil likes Phil. You know what I mean? I had my fill of Phil after hole 3. How about that? That would be great. That's worth $500,000.
Oh, easily. Wake up call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Hey everybody, RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com, your home for the best Dallas Cowboys coverage on the web. And did you know that we have a podcast feed? The Blogging the Boys podcast feed has daily episodes breaking down the latest and greatest in the world of America's team. We have multiple shows, multiple analysts, including a Super Bowl winner. 2-time Super Bowl champion Tony Casillas is part of our rotation, and we want to make sure you are as well. We're available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. So don't miss out. Subscribe to the Blogging the Boys podcast feed today.
The second level. The
first, and I can't get it out of my head, Tony's Fauci is awful. I think I've heard Tony do other impressions. I've heard him do voices, if you will. And they're all great. They're all on the level. But I don't know. There's something about that Fauci that's really off. This is the dueling Faucis here.
That the idea of having treatments available to facilitate the reentry of students into the fall term would be something that would be a bit of a bridge too far.
Or
we may never be able to shake hands ever again. It's more like if you have two people in a room, it's better if one of them leaves.
Tony's Fauci sounds like what the real Fauci would sound like if he were yelling. The real Fauci sounds like he's been yelling at the president for the last 8 hours.
The Second Level, weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. Pharrell,
Coast to coast. It's Pharrell, coast to coast, every day, 4 to 6. I talk to the biggest names in sports. I talk to GMs, coaches, owners, players, and they're all doing the same thing. They're laughing, and they're breaking up, and they don't know whether they're coming or going when I'm done with them. I'm giving you what you want. Sports, down your throat, big time on SB Nation, baby.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast with Scott Pharrell. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. Dealing with the root of the issues. It's The Second Level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
So a story that's deeper than simply the headline here, and hopefully Ron doesn't have it an hour or two for fake news, but a South Korean football team is in a little trouble. They use sex dolls to fill the stands. Now, we've heard Joe Buck say that networks like Fox are thinking about using CGI, the same technology that turns Banner into the Hulk, or the game technology you see on the show or Madden, where any fans, they're copied and pasted maybe 6 or 7 times over, and that makes up the entire stadium. Well, in this case, the FC Seoul apologized to fans who accused them of using sex dolls in the stands to replace fans. However, the football team called the dolls, quote, premium mannequins. But they did say it came from a sex toy supplier. Pornography's banned in South Korea. The premium mannequins were seen holding signs that advertised adult websites. FC Seoul pretty much in trouble here. Not the right move in South Korea.
Now you're making me work again.
Oh.
Introducing
No, that's fine.
I had a feeling.
.com, a brand new
But I
web-
saw that. I couldn't let it go. Wow. Because I knew you said we only had like 90 seconds, right?
To drop.
Yep.
Family safe on the road. AutomotiveMap.com.
All right, I'm
has
going to get my
something for
dog
you.
real quick. I'll be right back.
Yep, no worries.
SUVs and the amazing technology hitting your favorite showroom? Check out the brand new AutomotiveMap.com.
Wake up call.
When my son goes down to Gainesville to go to the University of Florida, my advice to him will be, do not be Florida man.
Tom Brady was only there for a week.
Right.
And he's done 2 things now where he's Florida man.
It's something that just comes over people, and
Is
they're
it
like,
the water?
wow.
Is it the sunshine? My question to you, Father, is if he starts to become that, do you pull him out?
That's a good question. That's where I might have to sit with my wife and go, look, he's putting toothpicks in light sockets. He's walking around with an open umbrella during a lightning storm. We have to sit down and reassess his post-high school education.
He's walking into people's houses thinking it was his professor.
He's right. Yeah, right. Exactly.
We can't have this.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned.
Throwing footballs in a park that's closed.
It's closed. Wrestling alligators. I don't want you doing that. Or
Yeah.
petting alligators. Whatever. Don't do any of these Florida man things. I'm just afraid it's in the water.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. Pharrell,
Coast to coast. It's Pharrell, coast to coast. We're taking over the world. And I got to tell you, from the beginning, it's been kind of easy. You got to love us on SB Nation, kicking ass and taking names. Every day, 4 to 6, you catch my Sports Grid coast to coast gig. And imagine this. Once we go live again, baby, you're not going to know what hit you when I start pouring beers and shots for you.
Pharrell Coast to Coast with Scott Pharrell. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault.
Joe Theismann here on Pushing the Odds. How has quarantine life been for you?
Probably the most important word that we can all consider is patience with everybody. I know everybody's sort of going stir crazy. I mean, let's face it. This is something we're not used to as a society. We move quite rapidly, but now we're forced to sort of reevaluate the important things in life, and I think it's good in that regard. Matt, I've said this for a long time. If you have your health, you have wealth. Wealth has nothing to do with what your bank account looks like. If you have your health, then you are a very wealthy person. Now it's important that we understand that you want to be able to keep social distancing so that everybody can stay healthy. And the more we can practice that, every day that we can practice that, every day we can buy a day for the scientists to be able to come up with a cure or a vaccine, it's a day closer to having this craziness end. And life will never be the same.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Peralt. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. Game time decisions.
I'm Gabriel Morency, inviting you to join me and the Raging Redhead, Cam Stewart.
Yeah,
weekdays at
I
6
hear you.
Eastern
It is really
on
right.
SB Nation Radio, the loudest station in the nation. No games, no problem. We've
Nick
got your
Foles
back.
gloves
Weekdays
he
at
wore in
6.
Super
We slow
Bowl.
it down. Best bets, props. If they're playing, we'll find a number on it. Bring it. Weekdays at 6. SB
See, that's
Nation
where
Radio. Game
that's
time
where
decisions.
Ron, I think, was
Game
onto
time
something with the
decisions
cup. You
with
have to
Gabe
find
Morency
somebody
and Cam Stewart.
stupid, famous,
Weekdays
and
at 6
stupid,
p.m.
stupid.
Eastern. Into the night.
Who's the most
The great
famous
Pat
Eagles
McAfee,
fan
an
out there?
award-winning
Bradley
sports
Cooper?
reporter,
No.
former punter, joins us now.
These-
Pat, I
these
read
fake,
that you,
you know, these
said
guys,
that you have no shot
Hollywood
of being
fake
part of the
fans, right?
Monday
Who's
Night
the-
Crew. Is that official,
Who's
or is that
really
just your
the
gut
most
feeling?
famous
A year ago, my boys and I
Philadelphia
and the
Eagles
people
fan?
that follow me on the internet are the greatest humans on earth.
Like
We pushed
Eagles
for
fan,
the
not-
Monday Night Football rule. We know there's no
I root for
chance
the
that I would
Eagles.
get considered for it, but we made a little bit of noise.
Eagles.
And whenever
They
the job
actually
that
say,
needed to be
Eagles.
opened up yet again here, obviously
I
the
root for
natural
the
thing was,
Eagles.
okay, we made a push for it last year. Let's go
Who would
for it
that be?
again. And every time I would ask a question to, my people, I was basically told, like, that's
Is
going to be a
Will
long
Smith
shot.
gonna
Because
claim that?
ESPN, they want a prestigious booth again. And whenever you're a punter, that's not necessarily the position you're always in, a prestigious one, shall we say. So I think I've been told on a couple different occasions that I'm probably not the guy that's going to get that gig. And do I think I'd be good at it? Yeah, I think I would be. But now is not the right time. And there is zero chance in hell that I get offered the gig anyways.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern. This is the Big E Sports Show on SB Nation Radio.
Hi, this is Elissa Walker Campbell, host of the Big E Sports Show that airs every Friday night from 8 to 10 Eastern right here at SB Nation Radio. Every week we promise to deliver the biggest and best in sports and go beyond the X's and O's. Some of our guests include Dick Vermeil, Tony Dungy, Dan Reeves, and Rick Carlisle. We've always got you covered.
Hear the Big E Sports Show every Friday night from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time on SB Nation Radio.
Wake up call.
And one of the things I do like about Rodgers that is not like other quarterbacks in this league, and even veterans in this league who tend to not speak their mind, Rodgers speaks his mind. He's going to probably have a lot to say about this organization not meeting the needs of a 13-3 team that was a win away from the Super Bowl.
So gone are the days of RELAX.
Yeah, I think so.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans and Rocket Mortgage. During these challenging times, our commitment to providing you with the best mortgage experience remains. We understand that hardships may arise, and we're prepared to help. Mortgage rates remain near historic lows. If you think that now is the right time to refinance your mortgage, our home loan experts are available to help 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at rocketmortgage.com.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
Set your system's volume control for slightly above the normal listening level.
Let's go. Second level thinking is defined as looking beyond the easy, obvious conclusions.
You got to do some smart thinking.
Welcome to the second level. On SB Nation Radio,
And on SBNationRadio.com.
where we go beyond the box score. Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage is with you every step of the way. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's your host, Eitan Shander.
It was great to see golf back on a professional level, to watch talent that you'll never get anywhere near. And it's awesome to see it from a distance. It's beyond frustrating to experience the polar opposite. And that was my day Saturday. So while people were comfortably watching the PGA return on Saturday from the confines of their own couch, I'm out hacking away. And I bring this up not only for self-deprecation, but for a setup here. Saturday, the course I belong to is not easy. It's a valley, and you're hitting into a hill every single hole. Just depends if it's going to fade left or right. And with that said, I walked out of there, terrible day, shot a 110. Not proud of it, not happy about it by any means, and probably could have trimmed 4 or 5 strokes off there for 4 or 5 putts that just missed. But that aside, it's an awful day. Course was jammed. I bring this up because, again, at no point me going through the 110 day, that was a horrific day on the course. So some good moments, but some awful ones as well. More awful than good, clearly, to have a score like that. At no point did it slow down. I'm not holding anybody up, nothing like that. We moved, we kept it going, 4 people walking, and we walked, kept it moving. Yesterday, I've never waited as long as I did. And I'm not complaining, anything like that. I'm fortunate enough to be healthy. I'm fortunate enough to be outside, all of that. So this is not a complaint. But it's the longest I've ever waited. Every single shot. Like a good 8 or 9 minutes. And I'll tell you, that game is as difficult as it is normally when you're moving through and repetition and, muscle memory. I don't even want to tell you what I shot yesterday. Having to wait 8 or 9 minutes in between shots just because of the foursome ahead of me. Brutal.
Here at Rocket Mortgage and the Rock family of companies, every one of our team members knows a hero.
My Uncle Paul, who works long hours at the grocery store to make sure that people can put food on the table.
We really want to thank my wife's cousin Marie, who works so hard as a nurse saving others.
Thank you for being a hero in our community, Des Marie.
To those who leave their homes to keep us safe in ours, we thank you. From the front lines to behind the scenes, we see you. You're essential every day, and today, you're heroes.
You're giving families everywhere a little more hope for a healthier tomorrow.
We're sending all our love, gratitude, and hope your way.
Here's to all of you. We couldn't be more grateful.
Thank you so much for everything that you're doing. Yeah, you guys are awesome.
Say we miss you, Mama.
I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you'd like to thank America's frontline and essential workers with us, visit everyoneknowsahero.com. Quicken Loans, LLC, NMLS number 3030, licensed in 50 states. Each legal entity that identifies themselves as part of the Rock family of companies are separate legal entities with their own governance and management structures.
When you go to the mechanic in here,
pass me the torque. Nope, let me have the flamethrower.
That sounds wrong. You know what else sounds wrong? When you hear about the interest you're earning on your savings with the largest banks. But with the Marcus by Goldman Sachs online savings account, you could earn much more interest. And hear this. Open a Marcus by Goldman Sachs online savings account in minutes at marcus.com. You can money.
Comparison made to the 3 largest U.S. banks measured by total deposits. Rates as of February 4th, 2020 and may vary by state. Goldman Sachs Bank USA, member FDIC.
At CDW, we get that an unsecured laptop can put your company's data at risk, making you a little paranoid.
I'm not paranoid. You're paranoid.
CDW can implement a secure mobility solution using the HP EliteBook with Intel 8th generation processors and SureView privacy to protect your screen from prying eyes.
Did you follow me here?
IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it. Find out more at cdw.com/HP security.
What was that?
Hello, friends. It's Jim Nance. Right now, the greater Houston community has more than 1.1 million food insecure people relying on Houston Food Bank and its partner network. That's why the Spirit Golf Association created the Spirit Food Fund to respond to unprecedented need and support Houston Food Bank. The goal is to raise $2 million and provide hundreds of volunteers. The Spirit Food Fund is asking for your support to help with food recovery, sorting, and distribution, as well as the creation of emergency food boxes for families across our community. A $10 donation will provide 30 meals for those who need it most. Please text Spirit Food Fund to 41444 and help with whatever you can. Donate to the Spirit Food Fund, benefiting the Houston Food Bank. Chip in for our friends and neighbors.
Scratching beneath the surface. It's the second level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
Fake news. 13 minutes from now, we'll get to the PGA's return. UFC continues to roll on 12:40 Eastern. Before we get to Bryce Harper saving baseball, I don't know if we have any other options. I feel like South Korea has given us the last real option of what can be in the stands. I'm sure I'm missing one, but it looks like we have the three most obvious ones, Ron, right? We've got Joe Buck saying networks, including my own, are preparing for CGI fans. So that's one option. The other option, as we just saw, South Korean football, not baseball, football team, the FC Seoul, throw their version of professional mannequins in the ring, which are sex dolls. And the third option seems to be just empty seats.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? Is there something in between sex doll,
can I ask you
CGI?
something?
Yeah, please.
What's wrong
This is
with
an open
option
forum.
3?
Empty seats?
Yeah.
Nothing. But the TV is scared to networks. That's a great
Why?
point. They're scared to death
You know what
that
I
somebody's
learned
going to
this-
turn off, and
You
it's
wanna-
ridiculous.
You want to know what I learned this past weekend? That at these NASCAR stadiums or tracks, I don't even know what to call them. They're so massively huge.
Oh, there's. Have you ever been to the one in Delaware? Well, you're not an East Coast guy.
Of course, I've been to the one in Delaware.
Well, look, you travel.
I summoned there last month there, Eitan.
Well, no, trust me, the stadium is far from that. The beaches are a long drive.
You know what? I don't make it east of the Mississippi too often.
When's
How
the
about
last time you have been east of the Mississippi?
Probably 2006.
For what reason?
It was my 40th birthday. No.
You're that old? I didn't know that.
30. It was my 30th birthday, and my wife took me to a baseball game at Fenway.
Awesome. Did you go to Faneuil Hall and all that?
Oh, yeah. We did all the touristy stuff.
Isn't that amazing?
But what I loved most was I went to Yankees versus Red Sox.
Perfect.
We sat behind the Yankee bullpen. We were in row 3. There was no row 1. It literally started at 2-3. So we're 2 rows behind the Yankee bullpen. The guys in front of us, it was the second game of a doubleheader. The guys in front of us had been there for the first game. They ended up getting kicked out. So we had front row seats behind the Yankee bullpen and got to hear all the shenanigans.
Why'd they get kicked out?
They were a little abusive.
Nice.
Got to a point.
Typical Boston idiots.
They had been.
I love it.
There was a little bit of day drinking on their part.
I'm sure.
I think one of the guys got kicked out, and the rest were like, "Yeah, let's just go. We're done. We're beat."
Yeah, probably the guy who's driving got kicked out.
Got to see future President Donald Trump throughout the first pitch.
Isn't that amazing?
And I was not able to
2002?
stay. 2006.
What was the what would the occasion be that he was launching The Apprentice?
No, it was
I opened up a new hotel.
I have no idea why, but I do know that Boston does an annual fundraiser. I think it's the Jimmy Fund.
Yes, they do, which is big.
And he was throwing out the fundraiser or throwing out the first pitch for this fundraiser.
Okay.
Maybe he donated.
I'm sure
cash.
he cut a huge check. Yeah, that makes sense. That's why I asked what the occasion would be, because
Yeah.
it wouldn't be anything at all political.
But
and
he
clearly,
came in through the center field gates.
How was the pitch? Because I saw
Not
another
so great.
president pitch.
Yeah, not so great.
Did he hit home plate?
I don't really remember where it landed. Again, we were in right field.
You know, a year ago today, it's crazy that you bring this up. There is a travel league that's pretty big here in the burbs, the Montgomery County, which is the county outside of downtown Philadelphia. And I threw out the first pitch.
There you go.
For one of these games here on this very day a year ago. And now we're talking about other famous people like Donald Trump and...
Well, I mean, they go hand in hand. Donald Trump, Eitan Shander. It's one and the same, really.
I don't know if I want that. So, are you sure
Well,
you're willing to label me that?
I'm not associating him with you. I'm just
Just
saying
the fame.
the level of infamy,
Yeah, right. This
if
is
you will.
this is the what is it? It's Three Amigos, infamous.
Yeah, this is
more
where
than
you're-
famous.
Exactly.
Right.
This is where you guys are comparable, I guess.
All right. So we're this all goes back to we're not missing anything, are we? There's nothing wrong with empty stands, but are we missing? Is there a fourth option, or is that it? Do we have CGI
No,
fans,
well-
sex dolls, and
Well,
nobody?
Okay, well, is sex dolls under the category of
Not the Goo Goo
mannequins?
dolls, the sex
No,
dolls.
and not the Sex Pistols, the
No.
sex dolls.
Great.
It's as if the Sex Pistols and Goo Goo Dolls got together and
Exactly
formed their own
right.
band.
Exactly, like the Steagles.
Yeah, they could have gone Goo Goo Pistols, but they said, that probably sounds too terrible.
No, sex dolls is where you have to go. You can't go Goo Goo Pistols.
I guarantee you there's a band out there called Sex Dolls.
And I guarantee you there's a band called the Goo Goo Pistols, which is the
Probably.
rejects from both bands.
Now, okay, but we're putting them under the category of mannequins and AI robots.
Yes, we can have we probably have to paint with a broad brush here when it comes to
I'm not trying to create a fourth category because I'm saying that
AI robots would be
we've had
correct.
like in Taiwan they've been using mannequins and AI robots
like drummers.
Like what?
The robots are drummers.
Yes, yeah.
Right. So yes, that's all.
And all they're doing is
encompassing.
gathering intelligence and prepared to take over the world.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
That's all they're there for.
See, I can reference another Simpsons episode, but I'm sure you haven't seen it. That's fine.
Well, I guarantee. Find out how that Simpsons episode ended, so that way you can prepare, because it's going to come true.
Well, it's
all Simpson episodes are precursors to what's going to happen.
It was the first ever television show to discuss and take on, of course, from a Simpsons standpoint, ADD, ADDHD, and the prescription of Ritalin. So Bart was prescribed Ritalin, and a bunch of things happened. Of course, The Simpsons is great because it's never just one-sided. And as much as something one-sided may seem, they do at the very least present everything as well as opinionated on things of their own. So at the end of it, one of the conspiracies that Bart has is that Major League Baseball is spying on us and collecting our data through satellite images and tracking us. So Mark McGuire comes out of nowhere after Bart knocks out the satellite and asks everybody as he hides the data, yes, it's true. We're stealing your data and monitoring your every move. But do you want to hear more about that, or do you want to see me hit some home runs? And then he just pulls some baseballs out of his pocket and cracks some home runs, and like Lenny and all the Simpsons extras are there, and they're like, oh, and of course everybody forgets. So that was the tie-in. That's
Sorry, I was distracted by the cat video. What'd you say?
The cat video.
A cat video.
What do you mean?
What were you just talking about? I was distracted by a cat video.
The cat video.
What were you just talking about?
The Simpsons episode.
About what?
Sorry, I'm not going to go. I just went through it. Everybody else out there doesn't want to hear me say it again.
But other people are probably getting the joke other than you. Because you were talking about ADHD and ADD and Ritalin, prescribed Ritalin. I just said, hey, sorry, I missed all that. I was distracted by a cat video.
Come on.
See, if I have to explain a joke and go long form like that,
that's way too highbrow.
It's just terrible.
That is way too highbrow of
creativity
a joke
at its finest.
Yes, but for this show, it's not. Look, you can be creative, but save that for your time with Tony. That's way too. Now you've got Asman in between. This is not the highbrow time from 11 to 1 a.m. or p.m. Eastern.
Yeah,
I don't even know the time zone. I'm so warped up in this.
Yeah,
pandemic.
I mean, yeah, it's true. You asked me, well, you get to Delaware often?
Right. Exactly.
Of course I don't.
I never knew if you ever went to the. I knew you're a huge NASCAR fan, right?
I have been. I've never seen NASCAR live.
It is something else. I've
rarely
seen it in
do I
Tennessee.
watch it on TV. I did watch a little bit this weekend because sport.
Right, but you had to.
Yeah, I had to. I had to watch. I didn't finish it.
It's not a. It's one of the. It's like hockey, where the sport doesn't necessarily transfer on TV like it does live.
Right.
Now, again, I'm not a proponent saying you have to go, but I've been to Bristol in Tennessee, to Dover in Delaware, and these places are enormous. The pre-gaming, the partying, it's just unlike anything else. And then when you're there, there's actually a lot going on where if you're sitting next to somebody who knows what's happening, and it's not always loud. Like there are times in which you can't hear anything when, the cars are passing you. And yes, I think like every human being, you're sitting there hoping that you'll get to see a wreck. But at the same time, it's unlike anything I've ever seen, unlike anything I've ever been to. It does definitely stands out. It's not like I'm going to fly to Tennessee the second I think it's safe to go down there again and get back to Bristol. I'm just saying it's an experience. It was an experience for me. That's all. Let's hit this. See, we've got fake news coming up, but I'm just going to bring this up. And then we'll come back to this. The PGA returns. Bryce Harper had an idea. All right. And if you missed Jim Trotter, don't worry. It'll be up on the podcast. We'll tweet that out at Shander Show. Bryce Harper put this out. Now, this is after he was on Fortnite catching Blake Snell's back, saying, lay off Snell. That's my guy. That's my guy. So here's Harper's idea. We'll take a break. We'll hit fake news. We'll come back 12:40 Eastern, revisit this in more detail, and combine it with what Major League Baseball put out over the weekend, which is going to be their new coronavirus rules, including shower at home and show up game day in your uniform. They've essentially turned it to Babe Ruth baseball for MLB when it returns. So here's what Bryce Harper proposes. It's from his Instagram page. Just an idea I've been thinking about. I said this earlier. Remember, we talked about this as far as splitting it down the middle, east-west, like the NBA. July 31 days, August 31 days, September 30 days, October 31, November 15. That's 135 games. Off day every 2 weeks on a Monday and Sunday, doubleheader, 7 innings, 30 players, 6-man rotation, save arms. If pitchers wanted this, if not, no big deal. DH and any other idea is possible. We know it's going to be universal DH. That's fine. Need to figure out if somebody gets hurt, what happens, not sure, who and where you call up from, etc. That's something that Major League Baseball is still trying to figure out with minor leagues in jeopardy. Playoffs, 2-week World Series like Super Bowl week, 10 teams, round robin format, College World Series kind of style at the new Texas Stadium, 3-game series. Win the series, move on, lose, play the other loser in a 1-game wild card. Winner of that moves on. Other team is out. Or you could play it in Vegas. So you have the strip hotels and can use one hotel for all the guys and contain 2 teams left, 7-game World Series, 2 days off before the series, 2 days off to an all-star game and home run derby, MLB awards as well at that time. Open this up on all platforms. No blackouts. 2-week World Series like the Super Bowl. Fake news next.
Wake up call. We know Major League Baseball is trying to get back, but eventually it will, and eventually minor league baseball will be back. And if you are a minor league team in need of a change of identity, would you go with Murder Hornets?
Man, I got to be honest.
I think it's a fantastic idea.
It took us
kind
nearly
of like with a hat,
5 hours.
A Murder
Probably
Hornet
5
hat
hours.
on it, maybe with a
It took us 5
maybe
hours.
going
to
through some letter or something,
2
like if you're
people walking. And my
Chattanooga,
fiance
you got a C on it, a
much
Murder
better than
Hornet
me.
blasting through.
And
Murder Hornet mascot
she's
running
about
through the
20
stadium.
strokes better than me.
Wouldn't it be cool if you have like a race
And
between a bee and a Murder Hornet?
Three
Like,
of us, 2 of us
everybody,
walking.
now let's
And
go to
my
the
goodness,
outfield
man, it
where
took us over
Harry the
about
Murder
5
Hornet
hours
is
to
going to be
walk these.
running against
Normally it would have taken. Oh,
You got
normally
the
it would have
fans
taken
dressed
us.
up as
Like
bees,
if nobody was in
and they're
front of
running,
us,
and if they can
it would
outrun
have
the
taken
Murder
us
Hornet, they get a prize
under
pack.
4 hours.
But if
The
the
two of
Murder
us.
Hornet catches them, unfortunately, he's got to rip their head off.
Wake
Because
up call
I-
with Tony D and Ron
Like
Culver.
my
Weekday
game is
mornings.
completely flip flop. I went from being able
Pharrell.
to drive consistently with, I was putting it like
from 4 to 6 Eastern.
240,
It's my Sports
250
Grid show. I know
off
you
the
love
tee.
it. I'm talking to the
and then you
coolest
get a
people
roll.
in sports.
And now all of a
unique
sudden you get like,
characters, you name it,
these
I bring it
hills.
to
You get like a
Wait till you get
20-yard
a load
roll
of me when
easily,
I'm on
right?
at 7 p.m.
So
Eastern. We do a
I
show
went from
called
that
In-Game
not being
Live,
able to hit my
where I
irons at
show you
all
how much of an
to
in-game
being able
betting
to
problem that
hit
I
my
have.
irons
Pharrell,
consistently,
Coast
but
to
my
Coast
driver
with Scott
broke. I got a
Pharrell.
new driver.
Weekdays from
Now
4
everything
p.m.
I
to 6
drive on this
p.m.
new
Eastern.
driver is like a hard slice. So I'm dropping now on a lot of these
I want
rolls
to talk about
because if you
baseball and
hard
the money
slice it, you're
conversation.
screwed.
What's going on?
You're dropping, and it's like, all right. So
okay, we'll talk about that later. Okay.
At that
now,
point,
I'm on the air, kiddo. I can't talk right now. Okay.
Everything was
We'll talk
ramped
later,
up.
okay?
We shot, and again, I shot
Hold
a
on,
buck
just stay
10
right there.
with her and her
This
parents.
is what I'm dealing with the fiber. And
And
my
at
wife
no
is here.
point
I don't know
did we
why.
ever
Why
have to
am I
wait
letting you
on
in
the
here?
team, right?
Do you want to
4
come on the radio
people.
or what?
At no point did we ever have to wait.
What?
Yesterday, we had to wait
Now.
Yes, now. Wait, so just say hi.
anywhere between 5 or 10 minutes
Okay.
each time.
I'm going to come on the radio.
I mean, 10
You're
minutes.
on
Think
the
about
radio
that.
now.
You're standing
That
out there for
microphone's
10
on.
minutes
You're on the radio now.
before a shot.
Those are headphones. Yes,
That's the
you do.
longest
So,
I've ever
that's
waited.
That's my
and
life.
It's
now,
a completely
okay?
different game.
Interrupted
Man.
doing
Oh yeah.
Like I
running
just
in and out. Okay. Thanks, hon. Appreciate it. I'll come talk to you during
anything
the
you
commercial
do
break.
good or well,
Oh boy.
it's
Okay.
impossible to duplicate because
Pushing the odds.
you're
with
thinking
Matt
about
Perrault.
50 other
Weekday
things. You're having a
afternoons from 1 to
conversation.
4
You know what I mean?
Eastern
Like
on SB Nation Radio.
it's weird.
If business, pleasure, or sports fandom takes you to Houston, Dallas, Austin, Fort Worth, or San Antonio, check out CultureMap.com to get the scoop on the local favorites. From the best restaurants, bars, pubs, and clubs to the biggest sights and sounds each city has to offer, Culture Map has it all. Just head over to CultureMap.com. The expert team personally reviews and visits each spot to make sure you get the best experience. And if you're coming back, sign up for free Culture Map updates at CultureMap.com.
So, can I ask you a question?
Fake news with Ron. With all the fake news out there,
Don't believe those lies.
it's on Shander to give it to you straight. 3 stories, but only one is fake.
It's true. I know it's a weird thought, but it's true.
Can Shander spot the fraud? Here's Ron Culver.
Are you ever going to be the first one to speak, or is it going to be me?
You know what? No, Mr. Asman stepped in here for a quick
What the
second
hell
and
is
was
he
talking.
still doing there? He's been
He
off
was
the air
saying-
for 90
I
minutes.
know he was, but he decided to say "see you later" just as this was going. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Does
whatever.
he want to sit in? Does he want to be part of the segment?
No, he just wanted to let me know that he's going to update his Google Doc rundown. That is not fake news.
Okay, that is a violation, though. That's a total violation.
No, he's
For-
talking to me, and I'm just like, you close the door, please.
Okay.
So I'm about to get loud.
2 hours a day, technically in the morning, if you count before his show, he has to understand that you're doing shows here. You're you're
Yes,
co-hosting the show with
I'm-
Tony.
I'm running this network.
You are. For 3 shows, you are the most important person in the building, and it's without a doubt. And here he is stealing just
Yep.
because he thinks it's a selfish
Some
move.
might even say I'm the most important people in your building as well.
In my house?
I don't know. Well, I mean, that's just what those are rumors I've heard.
Well, you are to me in that this is an escape. All right.
Yay. All right. You ready for some fake news?
Please.
Are you feeling confident this week?
I nailed Friday, did I not?
Yeah. I don't remember. I don't remember that far
Me neither.
back.
Go ahead.
That was a long time ago.
Go ahead. I apologize.
In a recent study, it was determined that Samuel L. Jackson is the actor top of the leaderboard at dropping F-bombs on screen.
Has he been on? I don't know if he's been in as many movies as people think, right? Like he's been in a lot, but he's not. I don't think he's been in everything, right? So it's probably just the amount of F-bombs that you get per movie.
I mean, he's been in a lot of movies.
I don't feel like he's been. I feel like he's one of those lot guys, not in everything guys, right? Like,
Well,
oh yeah, he's been in a lot, but not like, oh, he's been in everything, right?
Well, I'm not going to say he's been in everything, but
But like De Niro's been in everything.
Yeah, but I think Samuel Jackson's been in more movies than De Niro.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you have to remember, early on in his career, he was doing small, little, tiny roles.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
remember him Coming to America?
Sure. And
he was on screen for like maybe 5 minutes total. And I think in those 5 minutes, he dropped 3 F-bombs.
Who the bleep is this? Bleep, bleep.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's exactly what he says without the bleeps. All right. Story 1, Samuel L. is the all-time leader in curses. F-bomb. Now, just F, or is it all
Just
words?
F-bombs.
Okay.
Just F.
It's believable. Highly believable. It's almost too believable.
Yeah.
All right. What's number 2?
Story number 2. 3 teens attempted their best Sandlot impression when they pickled the beast to get their football back.
Now you have to refresh my memory. What's pickling? I remember they had that big
Pickling
dog and
the
that
beast.
slobbered the dog, all the ball and everything.
Yeah. Basically, if you remember the movie Sandlot, they've decided, because the kid ended up bringing his stepdad's Babe Ruth signed ball.
Right.
And he didn't know that was an important ball because he didn't know who Babe Ruth was.
Sure.
The ball got hit over the fence. Then the whole thing went from playing a baseball game to, hey, we need to find a different way to get the baseball back. Finally, Benny the Jet decided, you know what? I'm just going to hop over the fence and grab the ball and pickle the beast. And then he ran all over town. So there's a story out there where 3 teens did just that. Jumped over a fence to go grab their football, and they too had to pickle the beast.
Which is essentially what? Having the dog run around until he gets tired?
Having to evade the dog because it was a very mean dog.
I'm
to
sure
get their football back.
Don't you think that there are delivery people who pickle the beast every day?
Well, you're assuming most houses have fences in the front yard. Is that still a common thing? That might just be an East Coast thing. That might be a Delaware thing. I wouldn't know because I haven't been to Delaware since like 1980 something.
Well, Delaware has changed since you've last been, I will say.
Probably.
All right. Well, that's story 2.
Story number 3, the winner of this year's Madden Bowl did not throw a single pass all tournament and even had his punter taking snaps instead of his quarterback.
Was he just beating up? Now, we could tap into one of the best Madden players out there, local guy here in Philadelphia, Dubby, at dub.w on Twitter. He's won the Madden tournament before and huge gamer. And I've seen some of his Twitch videos where he's just toying with people. So that's believable, especially because
this is for the Madden Bowl.
No, that's what I'm saying. My
2020 Madden Bowl.
My guy here, Dubby, won the 2017 Madden Bowl. The Madden Bowl.
All right.
Same year that his Eagles won the Super Bowl. Not bad, huh? So that's my point, is that I'm going back and forth in my head because I've seen him toy with somebody like me, who just get on the sticks and get my butt handed to me.
Right.
But I've also seen him be in some tight games, and he puts it up live Twitch stuff. So I'm using my own personal interaction to try and reason through this story, because on the surface, you would think, wow, that's incredible, and you're talking about some of the best Madden players. But then I don't know if the competition is bad enough where you can afford to do all that. Like if you're just playing in a casual league, or if you're just going up and challenging a random person online, you might be able to get away with that. But if you're up in the Madden Bowl, which is the best of the best, I don't know if you're able, like you would be the best Madden player ever, I think, or at least up for that conversation, if you were torching other top Madden players to the point where you never even have to throw a pass. And what team did he use, or is that going to give it away?
No, well, I don't know if it'll give it away, but the one video that they do have, he was using the Titans.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe he was just running with Lamar. That's
I don't
possible,
know
too.
if he used that the entire time. I mean, I know most of the time you're a creature of habit. You use the team that you know the best inside and out. So maybe he did use Titans all the way through the tournament. But at least in the final, he used the Titans.
I'm going to say I know for a fact in my heart, story 1 is fake, that you made it up just because it's believable. But I'm going to say story 3.
Really?
Yep.
God, man, you should stick with your gut.
I know.
Story number 3 is right. This is a true story. A guy did win the Madden tournament.
Like, do you understand how bad that would be? Like
totally
Jordan going up against us, like you and me going up against Jordan.
Yeah, that's basically, what you're saying is this is Jordan scoring 11 straight points. If you're playing first game to 11, right? Or first to 11 in a one-on-one basketball game. And this is Jordan getting 11 on every single member of the Dream Team without them ever dropping a point.
Yeah, that's the best analogy you can make here.
That's impossible to do.
That doesn't make any sense.
Even Bird is going to get a lucky shot in, or Barkley, or you. I mean, one of these guys is going to get a lucky shot against Jordan.
One of the centers you think could back him down.
Yeah.
Nope.
But I mean, yeah, to just run running play after running play after running play.
Shame on you for using Stephen. What is Stephen? What's his name again? Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel Jackson? Oh, no.
Playing off the fact that he has such a foul mouth.
This moment of gratitude is brought to you by Rock.
No, actually, okay. The way the story goes,
I don't know why I blanked on him.
No, the way the story goes, Samuel L. Jackson was the leader in most swears in a movie. F-bombs, shits, asses, just the biggest potty mouth. He was number one. Would you care to take a guess at who surpassed him as number one?
Themselves as part of the Rock family of companies are separate legal entities with their own governance and management.
Cursing the most?
Yeah. So Samuel L. Jackson did hold the top spot for years.
Oh, no, hold on. Let's do this on the air.
Okay.
Soon you're putting words in
because the answer might surprise you.
No, it's
10
definitely
to 15 minutes, and they're all really different, which keeps things interesting.
Now, does this just
I
count
can't
as
wait to use my
movies?
Spanish skills in real life.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not
movies, but swear words in movies.
Just go to Babbel.com or download the Babbel app. That's BABBEL.com.
Fridge had enough after the extra action in the house these last several weeks. Now you have an excuse to get the new one you've been wanting. Lowe's can help with up to 40% off select appliances during our appliance savings event, including an LG InstaView side-by-side refrigerator for $12.99. With a generous amount of space, you'll have even more room to store your family's favorites. Get it fast by ordering at Lowe's.com or via our app. Best part, we're offering 12-month special financing and free delivery. Offers valid.
Yeah, quick question.
I'm here.
Did you know the flu game wasn't because of a flu?
Told me.
Yeah, he was hungover.
Over 2.5 million.
You're saying he's hungover?
That's what I heard.
Well, because, I mean, you saw The Last Dance, right?
No, I didn't see the last. I want to ask you on that. I have a very ambitious 13-minute segment here.
The aviation.
Okay.
No,
He was hands-on with real aircraft, developed their skills.
Why? What did they say?
For real jobs.
He said it was food poisoning. He said actually the Last Dance was because of food poisoning because it was like 10:30 at night. He's in his hotel room in Salt Lake City. He got hungry, and
somebody poisoned him.
He and his trainer were scrambling to get food to find some place that was open in Salt Lake City. I think it was a Sunday night, and they couldn't find any place open. Finally, they found one pizza place that was open, and they ordered a pizza. And the way Jordan describes it is he was the only one that ate that pizza.
Yeah, and the only one that got sick.
And the only one that got sick. Now, so he said it's actually not the flu game, it's food poisoning game because he was up at 2:30 just throwing up. I sat there. My contention is, have you ever had a pizza all by yourself at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
You're not going to feel right the next day.
No, it's going to feel like a
Provide
brick.
hundreds of volunteers. Please text Spirit Food Fund to 41444 and help with whatever you can. Donate to the Spirit Food Fund.
We have
benefiting
McMullen
the
tomorrow,
Houston
but
Food Bank.
I definitely think we should.
Okay.
I think we can get more legs out of the Bryce Harper thing isn't going anywhere, so I think we could save that for tomorrow.
Dealing with the root of the issues. It's the second level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
Couple things before we get out of here. Let's look at that top story that is real or fake. Sorry, the one I got wrong.
It is fake.
It's fake, right? But it's
because of the way it's worded.
Correct. And I knew that there would, as I mentioned, I knew there would be some sort of catch involved here, some sort of latch that I missed that I needed to unhinge. Before that, though, because that's not going away, this Samuel L. Jackson has been surpassed, right? He's actually been surpassed. So at one point he was.
Yes,
but
he's
now
been surpassed.
Okay. You caught The Last Dance.
Yes, I did.
All right. Now, there was one thing I knew that was coming in the final two episodes. I have yet to see them, right? They've moved kind of to the mid, not the back burner, but the mid burner for me on Sundays. But
well, yeah, I get what you're doing. You don't want it to end.
I am extending it, right? Because then I go back to nothing during, unless the UFC is going to have another midweek card. I'm pretty much stuck.
Can they keep doing that? Like 3, 4, 5 fights in a row?
I hope so. This past week was awesome. You had 3 UFC cards, you had a PGA event, and a NASCAR race jammed in there. You didn't even need to go to Dover Downs in Delaware to get live NASCAR. But,
no, I don't even know what that is. But no, I did not have to go there.
So I believe the aliases were in this episode, right? Or the final 2 episodes, right?
The aliases?
Yes. Where they go on the road and everybody has fake names. Except Tony Kukoc.
No, they didn't really dive into that too much.
Well, they mentioned it, though, right? No?
God, I don't remember. No.
Well, maybe you were asleep during that part. I know that you had to get up early. I think it was a blip. Oh, wasn't it mentioned?
I don't think so.
Okay. What now, as you look back, these final 2 episodes? The one thing I know will be discussed now more than it even was back then. I'll save it on my end. But what is it that you take away from these? Not the whole thing. We can do the whole thing this week. We have plenty of time to look back.
But just these final 2?
Just the final 2.
Well, the final one was the first one that I think they had where they didn't have a jumping timeline.
Right. So it was pretty linear the final season, right?
It literally started with whichever game, pretty much the Utah Jazz series, that final series in 97, 98. And all the way to the demise of it all. The one thing I took away from this final 2 was that Steve Kerr does have ice running through his veins.
Yeah,
that was one of the things, because this time, you remember how at the beginning they kind of highlighted Jordan, highlighted Pippen, Rod.
I think I lost you. What's going on? We lost? Here we go. We get you back? Ron.
I think
here we go.
Seeing the Steve Kerr part,
I'm in and out, right?
But the overall picture, the overall grasp of it all.
You got me?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you disappeared there, but I was just filling.
No, I figured.
But it was really Steve Kerr had a similar background with Jordan, where his father was murdered.
Right.
And there was did you ever hear the UCLA story or not? The UCLA. No, it was Arizona State story, because Steve Kerr went to Arizona.
Right. Okay.
And Arizona State fans were chanting PLO at him the entire time.
Yes, because his dad.
Because
yeah. I mean,
his dad was president
right.
of the American University and was murdered over in Lebanon. And just the fact that he took that and got upset, but then went out there and shot his brains out. I guess that's a bad pun.
No, I understand.
But I mean, it was just lights out the entire way. Just single-handedly demolished him. And then the fact that Jordan respected him. And Jordan, there was a play, I think it was against Indiana, that Jordan, trusted Kerr to take the final shot. And that's another thing. There's a couple of arcs that are kind of fun. A couple of that you find out through these episodes that kind of tie in everything.
Right.
Different little storylines, like, such as, we have the storyline of why he hates Isaiah Thomas, or why he's upset with
Sure.
Isaiah, or who knows if he hates
right,
him.
where it generates and stems from.
Yeah. But that story arc does complete with Reggie Miller and Karl Malone and John Stockton. There's a couple of things there that I didn't know at the time.
Like
never saw.
With Stockton and Malone, you mean up against the Jazz?
Yes, that the way they handled losing gracefully, or the way Reggie Miller handled losing, or the way Larry Bird handled losing. it was very evident for Jordan to point out, hey, these guys lost big moments, Eastern Conference Finals, NBA Finals. It's almost as if he was putting a dig out to Isaiah saying, look at these guys lost and look how they responded or how they reacted to losing versus you, Isaiah.
Well, in what sense that he see this?
Well, okay, I'm not going to spoil anything.
No,
Go ahead. Not really spoil anything.
Right, you're not spoiling anything. But
after losing the NBA Finals the second time, right, to the Utah Jazz winning the second time, Karl Malone.
Is that Asman again?
No, Karl Malone came onto the bus to congratulate Jordan and the rest of the Bulls. I mean, he came onto the bus.
Yeah, that's why Karl Malone never won anything. All right,
man, he didn't have that dagger of steel. But
I don't condone Isaiah Thomas's actions.
But it was kind of nice to see them coming back. You know, where
they had no choice.
Reggie Miller and Larry Bird, after losing the Eastern Conference Finals, a hard-fought 7-game final, that they both came and met Jordan a little bit afterwards, sometime in the tunnel, to say, hey, congratulations, you know, yeah, we'll get some golf in. I hate you. And there's a great exchange between, which I won't spoil for you because you'll love it yourself. There was a great exchange between Bird and Jordan. You can tell that these guys are old friends at this point. This is when Bird was coaching, by the way.
Sure. But here's the thing. It's awfully, and it always goes back to the personality, and Michael Jordan would never get along with another Michael Jordan. And I think the difference with he and Kobe Bryant getting along is the generational gap. The fact that Michael Jordan is more like an uncle or even father age to Kobe, as opposed to equal. So Isaiah and Jordan, they have way more of an equal level in which they come in from an age and era and everything wrapped up. So nobody is going to get over on Jordan after Jordan beats them. That's Michael's mentality. And if somebody applies that to Jordan, even when they beat Jordan, he's not going to like it, and he's going to hold it. We know the guy holds a grudge. Nobody had a Hall of Fame induction speech in the history of induction speeches like Michael Jordan. Do you think it's a coincidence that Michael Jordan is this petty, this motivated, holds a grudge for this long, and then explodes like he did in the Hall of Fame speech?
And that was, I mean, if taking all 10 episodes as one, it got really annoying to see every single time Jordan's like, like the producers asking, okay, what was your motivation in this series against the Jazz? Oh, Karl Malone won the MVP. What was your motivation in this one? Byron Russell.
Right.
And it was like, okay, dude, how about you just be motivated because you want to win the championship? How about just that?
Right.
Does it always have to be a personal vendetta? Like, you had to take down the Sonics.
Does. Mike Tyson,
I
know that,
but you had to take down the Sonics because George Karl didn't wave hi to you.
It's the yes.
God, does that get annoying?
Well, that's the thing though, is in a documentary for an hour long or 2 hours on a weekend for the span of a month, it's going to seem redundant and repetitive. But for Jordan going through that year in and year out, he had to create some sort of controversy.
Game out,
he was too good.
It was game in a game out.
But I think look, I get what you're saying as far as on TV, the documentary, enough is enough, like find a new slant. But when you're living, as we live through it, this is how good this is. This is the guy who is using nothing but Derrick Henry in the Madden Bowl. That's Jordan creating new motivation. Oh, that guy there ripped you on his Twitch channel, saying that you couldn't do anything, that you can't run the football. Oh, I'll show him.
It's funny you said that because Tony and I were talking earlier. Like, do you imagine if social media was in play? Someone would have to restrain him and never show him Twitter ever.
But I will say this. Let's flip it, because that is a great conversation. And I don't want to step on that, but let me flip it here. Can you imagine? I don't know if there would be any more scrutinized, discussed play in the history of professional sports, maybe outside of the tuck rule, right? And not many people even bring that up anymore. If LeBron James game-winning shot in the NBA Finals to win a championship came after throwing somebody like Jordan did to Russell aside and knocking down a shot. Can you imagine what current Twitter and social media would do if LeBron James won a championship that way? Just throwing Giannis or whoever would be in the East Coast off and knocking a shot
You need
down.
to rewatch that play because I know there's a lot of scrutiny over the fact that Jordan pushed him with his left hand.
Come on, he pushed him.
No, you look at it carefully. You could see that he's not pushing him at all.
You are the only person I've come
I
into
am
contact.
not.
I promise you.
Jordan and I are on the same page.
How much are you getting from this? How much did the Last Dance
Jordan,
producer
you know
slide
what?
you for
He
this?
threw me. He's sliding me a pair of Air Ones. We'll figure out how much I can get for those later.
Boy, the only people that believe
Game
that
worn Air Ones, by the way.
his agent.
I'm going through Christie's, not Sotheby's.
I think you have to sign something when you are drafted by the Bobcats and Hornets now, right? That says you'll never go. It's like an NDA that you'll never say anything negative about the push-off.
It wasn't a push-off. It's like, but they have Bob Costas talking about it. I think he said it perfectly.
Come on.
No, Bob Costas was like, it was as if a maitre d' was shown you to a table.
Get out of here.
That's basically what it was.
Costas, are you kidding me? That is an affront.
Rewatch it. I bet your Twitch is going to be blowing up right now because it's like, Eitan, he didn't push. Come on.
You're right. He didn't push. He threw.
He
There's a
didn't
difference.
throw.
All right, real quick. Before we get out of here, I have this game that was sent to me, and I figured you're a great test case to see if this thing can work.
I'm always a head case.
You are. No, test case.
Oh, okay.
But that too. So 3 things happened with 3 different years associated, and then I have a 4th thing, and you're going to tell me where it fits, right? So the first thing, in 1927, Felix the Cat becomes the first giant balloon to take part in the Macy's Day Parade. That's 1927.
Okay.
1931, Al Capone convicted in federal court. 1933, the Lacoste tennis shirt is introduced with the crocodile logo embroidered on the chest. That's 33. 31 is Capone. 27 is Felix.
Heathcliff.
Right.
Or Felix.
Felix. Now, I have something that happened either before Felix, in between Felix and Al, in between Al and the Lacoste, or after the Lacoste shirt. You tell me where it fits.
Hit me.
H.B. Reese introduces his new candy invention, the peanut butter cup.
Okay.
Where does that slide? Is it between the
between 27 and 31, or between 31 and 32, or after
31 and 33, not 37.
Or after 33 or before 27?
Correct.
The peanut butter cup. And that's how I like to say it. Peanut butter cup.
Yes.
I'm going to go with I'm going to say after Capone, before I can't remember what 33
Lacoste.
was. Before Lacoste.
You were just off. It should have been after Felix.
Before Capone.
1928. You could thank Reese's for that. 1928. All right, we'll wrap the hour next year.
Wake up call. Raiders and Saints, right? Big game. Oh,
dude, that was so freaking annoying.
What's that?
Well, it was AD came in here.
Oh, yeah.
He did something, and first of all, he did something and knocked you off air.
Right.
Like, I don't know what the hell he did. And then he came in and goes, and all I heard was, is that guy on what? And like Jose is in here, and Jose's like, trying to hush him because he knows that I'm on air with you talking. And like, I'm not going to turn around and talk to him. It's like, for as brilliant as the guy is, his radio etiquette just bothers the shit out of me.
So what?
That would be my
like
thing.
what happened that he would do that in the middle of the segment?
He's trying to fix different things or change different things. I mean, he does it constantly, right? Which is good. I mean, he's keeping everything up to date. But I can't tell you how many times he's came in here during a radio show and just done what he wants to do, says what he wants to say, even though you might be on air during that time.
Right.
And that's just the way he is. And you just it's one of those things like you guys gotta just understand that that's going to be AD.
Wow.
As we throw it down on the loudest station in the nation.
Wow.
SB.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. Like I thought, because I looked up and I see the stream is going.
Game time
And the
decisions
stream is
with-
on Wi-Fi.
I could tell as soon as you got off, there was a different sound, meaning there was no sound. I was like, oh, he's not there.
Yep.
And it took me a second. I was just kind of fumbling over words. Then because I'm looking down, I'm like, all right, let me toggle this.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have no.
And I see my phone blowing up, and you're like, I can connect another thing. So I went to Comrex. I'm like, no, Matt's probably on Comrex right now.
Right.
If there's pushing and pulling in the NBA,
No, I
it's just a
figured you would just
reflection
jump
of
in,
the
and
society
you were talking
that we're living
anyway
in now,
about
too,
Kerr.
because
So
you see
the timing of it
states,
works.
some are opening things back up quicker than others are, and others are exercising more caution. And so I think it's the same way with the NBA. I mean, you're dealing with 30 NBA cities, and the rules aren't the same for everybody. So that makes it impossible, Tony, to say, oh, yeah, well, it looks like things are right on track to start playing again on this date. And I've said it since day one. If you're going to go back to work on this, if the season is going to resume, man, you better be pretty darn sure that this is safe, and you won't have to worry. And to me, you can't do that yet, certainly. And I don't know if we will see a resumption of the season.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern.
Wake up call. It's really weird how gambling is now embraced and everyone acts like they never hated it or bothered by it before.
You know what else is getting that same love? Weed.
Same thing.
For years it was taboo, and now we're getting to that point like, it's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad. Same thing with gambling.
Which my state will legalize it.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of people doing this. Okay, all right, well,
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. You're listening to The Second Level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, with way more than the scores, here's Eitan Shander.
All right, before we get out, and again, we'll be back on Tuesday, chat with John McMullen, our NFL insider, and look at Bryce Harper's plan to save baseball a little deeper. Andrew Cuomo is welcoming sports back so long as they're safe in the state of New York. That's progress I didn't think we would see this week, but that's a good sign on your Monday. If you are still counting what day of the week it is, that's a pretty good sign. And I know normally we do the fake news spillover here, so if you have one ready to go, fire away.
You know, it's actually there's a little bit of audio with it, so I'd prefer if we had a little bit more time because I think you would appreciate it.
So we don't have enough time.
We don't have enough time.
All right, so
I think you'll want to listen deeply.
Let's do that tomorrow. All right.
Yeah.
All right. We have that locked in. That's a segment right there. We'll do that tomorrow. Let's look though at who knocked off Samuel L. Jackson to now hold the record for most F-bombs dropped in a movie.
Well, it was it's all swear words, all encompassing swear words.
Seth Rogen.
Close. Very close. I'm proud of you for saying Seth Rogen. It was actually Jonah Hill.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of just over gratuitous cursing, just to curse.
Jonah Hill, the Wolf of Wall Street, put him over. Not only did Jonah Hill jump to the top of the list, Leo also leapfrogged Samuel L. Jackson. So
because of that movie?
Because that movie really helped him out. That movie has the most swear words of all movies.
Was there any substance in that movie or just people doing drugs and cursing?
Exactly.
All right, man.
That movie alone had somebody calculated it, which blows my mind. That movie alone, let's see, 715 swear words.
I can't even fathom.
Uncut Gems is number 2. Casino number 3. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
I was thinking about not Kevin Smith, but the other guy, Jay.
Jay Muse.
Yeah, I was thinking
Jason
about
Mewes.
him just because he was in so many of those movies, and every word he says
is an F-bomb.
Right.
Yeah, but no, he's not even on the list.